guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca and I am a stay-at-home mom and an online reseller. And I apologize for my voice, but I am sick at the moment, so it definitely does not sound the best. But today I'm going to show you my reseller spreadsheet. I hope the screen isn't too flashy. It looks super flashy while I am recording, but hopefully that's not what it looks like. I'm sorry if it does. I don't have a better way to record it. Also, I'm going to use my super cool little Scotty peeler to point some things out to you. So I'm going to show you how I track all of my inventory for reselling. So I just use this Google Sheets, it's basically like Excel, but it's through my Gmail, through Google Drive. Over here, I have the title Reselling 2023. I started reselling in 2020, so I have one for each year. This is just my one for this year. And then down here at the bottom, I have different tabs. So this is my current inventory tab. So that's the items that are both listed and unlisted, but have not sold. Then I have my sold tab. I have my sourcing expenses, business expenses, my net profit, and my states shipped to tab. So we're going to start basically at this current inventory tab. So this is everything that I currently have. I can scroll a little bit. I have a whole lot of inventory right now. A lot of it's not listed. I have a pretty big death pile at the moment, but you can see it's just a lot of items and you'll see some different colors. I can kind of tell you what those mean as we go. But yeah, it's a lot. So we'll scroll back to the top here. Let's see, here we go. So you can see I have an inventory item as old as number 87. So that needs to get sold along with some of these other ones. But my first column here is my SKU. So the SKU is the specific number that you give to your item so you can track it. So for me, I do mine as like a number. So the 87, 128, 299, 358. And then you'll see in front of them, they have a letter, and that correlates to what inventory box I keep it in. So sometimes the letter changes, but the number will stay the same. And that's just so I make sure, like if I have two items that are exactly the same or very similar, they each have their own SKU number, and that gets written on my inventory bags so I don't get anything mixed up. Now this spreadsheet has changed and adapted a little bit over the years, but it's been pretty similar ever since I started. So here we started with brand. I did start doing just clothing. Now I do a little bit of everything, but I started with brand. So obviously the brand of the item, sometimes it's an unknown item. That's fine if you don't know what it is, or sometimes it's like a handmade item, that's fine too. But something that kind of indicates what the brand is. It's pretty basic. And then I have the category. So if it's clothing items, just women's, kids, men's. If it's an electronic item, it may say electronic, or I'll say home if it's like a home goods item. So there's some electronic and home items. So once again, these are pretty basic, pretty self-explanatory. It just kind of depends on what you're selling. So categories, it could be books, it could be vintage home decor, whatever you want. I just like to categorize it like that. And then I can always, if I wanted to, sort items so I know how much of certain categories I have or whatever. My next column is description. So this part has changed a bit since I started. I used to have where I put like size and then like item type or something like that. Since I do items that aren't just clothing items, I just do description. So jacket, size small, coat, size 14, 16, a dress, size medium. Some of these are pretty basic. This one, black, white, sleeveless dress, size small. Some people put their entire title in here. I don't do that. I just do a general description so I know what the item is. Then I have my purchase date. So that is, like I said, the day I purchased it. If it's an item that someone gave me for free or that's just for my own home, I just put NA for not applicable, just because it doesn't really matter. And don't really have to have the purchase date, but it does help me with my records to know when I bought things. Scrolling over a little bit here, we have cost of goods. Now, my husband works in finance, and he told me my cost of goods isn't 100% accurate or something like that. Cost of goods actually means something else. But in reseller terms, everything I have seen, this is what people refer to as their cost of goods. So how much I've paid for an item, I just put in the exact amount that I paid and track it there. Next, I have list date. So this is the date that I actually listed the item on my platforms to start selling it. It gives me a good indication of how long it sits in my death pile from the purchase date to when I actually get around to listing it. Then my list price is how much I start listing it for. This definitely is different than the sold price, as you'll see later, but this is just where I start listing it at. And then weight, I always weigh my items before I put them in their inventory boxes, so I know what they weigh, so I can determine the shipping cost. So now you can see after this break here, I have all of my platforms listed. So I have Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Kidizen, Poshmark, Mercari, Curtsy, and Etsy. I don't have Whatnot on here since that's more of an auction site, but I just put X's in the box when I listed on that platform. And if it cannot be listed on that platform, then I just shade it in gray. So a whole lot of Etsy items like regular clothes can't go there unless they're vintage. There's some Kidizen ones. Kidizen, I can't sell men's clothing. Same with Curtsy. So I just keep track of it like that. It's really basic, really simple, but it's worked well for me. Now let me scroll down and show you some of my colors. I am a very organized person and I like to color code things when possible. So for me, this bright purple means that it is something I have designated for a Whatnot show, just so I can keep that separate. I have a lot of items like that right now. You can see all of these. This green color means that I have photographed the item and it just has not been listed yet. So like in this one where you see the list price, I already have that one drafted, which means I've done the research and it's in my draft bank in Poshmark ready to list. But this one that doesn't have anything in the list price means I probably haven't done the research on it yet. And it's photographed, but it hasn't been drafted yet. I'll scroll down here further. You can see all these things I have for Whatnot shows. More of the green. And then I have a couple items that are blue. The blue for me just means that I did not list it on eBay yet, because on eBay, I keep my listings to 250 or less because I do not have a store subscription at this time. That can be a whole topic for another video. Let me know if you want me to make a video about why I don't have a store subscription on eBay. But basically, I keep it blue until I can list it on eBay. That way, I can just more easily know that if something sells and I delist it from eBay, I now have an open spot and I can go ahead and list it. So that's really all I have for my current inventory spreadsheet. You can see I'm down at 580 over here. So I'm up to 1685 on how many items I have picked up for reselling. But that's pretty basic. So then if we go down to my sold tab, well, let's go back to current inventory real quick. We can see this break here, over here on the side. This designates that like I don't need to know what platforms it's listed on once it sells, but I do need all of this information. I keep all this information when it sells. So that's just easy for me to track it that way. So if we go over to sold, it's going to initially, oh, let's scroll over. It's going to initially look the same. What happened? Here we go. It's going to basically look the same from this break over as it did on the last one. And then there's additional columns on this side. So all of these are the same. You can see all the information there. And then if we're going to scroll over, so the new columns are the sold date. So what date the item sold on. The ship date, what day I'm shipping it out. Once again, this is all just to help me keep track of things. How much it sold for. So you can see on like this item on the very top, it says $20.40. That was eBay, so that includes the shipping. Something like this, $15, that was on Poshmark. It does not include shipping because they pay shipping. So whatever the total is, without counting in like the tax that the person pays, it's just like the shipping and the sold price. Then we have the fees. So this is whatever the platform fees are. That does include if it's sold on a promoted listing on eBay. I think that's the only one I have promoted listings on right now. Shipping costs. So like Poshmark, I don't do shipping. I make the buyer pay shipping. So $0 on Poshmark shipping. This one, eBay $3.99, Mercari $6.18. So it just depends what the shipping cost would be for there. And then the net profit. So the net profit, I use the formula. So I'll click on here. So here, like this item I'm about to ship out today, net profit, you go all the way over here and you can see in the formula bar. So it equals L2. So L2 would be my sold price minus M2 minus the fees minus N2 minus the shipping cost minus F2, which over here is the cost of goods. And that will give me what my net profit is. So your net profit is just the sold price minus fees minus shipping minus your cost of goods. Obviously, this is before taxes. I do taxes separately. I don't pull them out as I go. So that's my net profit on that specific item. That's how I do that. My platform sold, just so I can track which platform it's sold on. So like this one was eBay. And then how many days it takes to sell. This is always just kind of fun and interesting to see. But it's also good to know if you should continue to pick a specific type of item up. So the formula for days to sell, if I click on here, go over here to the formula bar, you can see it was J2, which is the sold date, minus G2, which was the list date. So you take your sold date minus your list date, gives you how many days are in between. So this was 109 days to sell. And that is all for the sold spreadsheet. Now this one has updated a little bit over the years, even this year. I used to have fees and shipping just together, but where you're separating it out this year, I'll be honest, I don't really know a lot about taxes. My husband does most of that because he does work in finance. He usually does our taxes, or if we need to, we will send them to somebody. But so this is definitely not tax advice. That's just how we're doing it. So the next tab over is sourcing expenses. There's not a lot on this one because I'm not really sourcing yet this year, but sourcing would be anything I purchase to sell. So the date that I purchase it, the cost, and the location. So if it's Goodwill, Facebook Marketplace, Community Aid is another place I go, or yard sales. And this just helps me match up, not with yard sales because you don't get receipts from yard sales, but from the other ones, I do put my receipts in a Google Drive. So I can always cross-reference those if needed, if ever audited or something like that. That's pretty basic for sourcing expenses. Then we go over to business expenses, which I have quite a few more. So for business expenses, this will include things like, for me, listing fees on Etsy because it costs 20 cents to list an item. So you can see like this day I listed 2 items, this day 3, or maybe relisted. And I have those. That's pretty much what all this is so far because I haven't been sourcing, so I haven't really done a whole lot. Supplies, so like this was Amazon. Sometimes I might get stuff from Walmart or wherever. The date, the cost, and I also keep receipts for that in my Google Drive. Fuel cost, this will be a lot bigger once I start sourcing again, but I haven't really this year. So that was just a post office run, which I don't typically have to do. And I also have the mileage. I do have an app on my phone where I track my mileage if I am driving around for reselling purposes. But yeah, so you can just see that. That's all I have for my business expenses right now. But this is the best way to categorize it from what my husband told me for right now. Once again, this has changed because as he's done our taxes year after year, there's certain things where he says, well, these should probably be separated. So that's why I do it that way, because he tells me it's a good idea. Net profit, this really isn't up to date right now, but once again, my husband, he also knows how to code, so he does a lot of this stuff, and it would just kind of tell me my numbers in general, like as I'm going throughout the year. You can see this still says 2020, we just haven't updated it. We haven't really changed anything, so this I'm not really going to talk about because I'm not using it at the moment. And then states shipped to, I used to have numbers in here. This is just for fun to track how many items I shipped to which states, but I hit all states, I think at the end of 2022. So I now just have X's in them, and I'm kind of just tracking what new countries I shipped to. So I have shipped to Puerto Rico this year, and that's the first time I've shipped to Puerto Rico. I've shipped to Canada, Denmark, and the UK over my 4 years. So that's just kind of for fun. One thing I did forget to mention over on my sold spreadsheet, I forgot to mention it because I don't have anything on here right now, but say this item right here has sold, but I haven't packaged it or shipped it yet, I would typically make this orange. I like to make it orange just because it stands out to me, so I can easily see that I have an item that needs to be shipped out. And then once I ship it, pack it, all that, then I just go back to reset, and then it's back to all the normal colors. So these are all the items that I have sold this year in 2023. And then I do like to put like a break here just when it changes months, just to kind of keep things a little bit more organized. So we're on the 4th day of April, and I've only had one sale, which was today. So I have that break right there. And then I just add on top. So my most recent sale is always at the top. And when I have a new sale, I just go over here and I do insert one row above. And then it comes right here and I can add that in. So that's really it. It's a pretty basic way of tracking your inventory and your solds. You can, you know, you can have different cross-listing platform or cross-listing software that'll do things like that for you. I know a lot of people talk about Reseller Genie. Some people do these things by hand. You can do it however you want. This is just the way I've been doing it because I like to keep things as free as possible. And it's been working well for me. I haven't had any issues. So if you have any questions, please leave them below. Let me know how you track your inventory if you're also a reseller. Let me know if this was helpful. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd love to have you back for more reselling content. Let me know what else you'd like to see. Hopefully my voice sounds better next week in next week's video. And don't forget to head over to Instagram and follow me over there. I am at TheCozyShire, so you can keep up with my reselling and mom life journeys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.